In this video, I'm breaking down 5 autistic things that you didn't know weren't normal. So there are many traits that autistic people have, and they don't even realize that those things are very reminiscent of autism and characteristics of the condition. I'm going to get into that right now because you may be doing these things and not even realize that they're autistic traits. Number 1 is inconsistent eye contact. Now, there is no kind of mystery that typically autistic individuals will have potentially issues making, maintaining, and engaging with eye contact when discussing things with another person. This is down to social etiquette of social understanding, and those social norms are somewhat missed in autistic individuals. This is because autism is in itself a communication issue disorder that can leave a lot of those unspoken rules of socializing difficult for autistic individuals to pick up. Now, usually autistic individuals will fall behind on this because in school and early childhood is where you kind of learn a lot of the bearings of social interaction. And this is somewhat missed because autistic individuals have difficulty picking up those typical things of social interaction because they're trying to deal with maybe sensory overload, stimuli input from other sources. And because of this, we fall behind. Now, this actually has another layer to it where parents of autistic individuals may not even realize that their child has intermittent eye contact for 2 reasons. One is because parents who have the eldest child not having consistent eye contact or having intermittent eye contact will not realize that this isn't typical of kids, right? Because it's their first kid, they're learning every single time. But more importantly, and more often than not, if you have an autistic child, it's because you also display autistic traits and maybe autistic yourself, and you also make intermittent eye contact, but have never really thought about it until it was brought to your attention by the fact that your kid has it, right? This is really interesting, and this actually happened. I didn't even know I had intermittent eye contact until somebody said it to me, and I was like, dang. More importantly, my partner didn't even know that her son had autism because he struggled with intermittent eye contact, right? He was not making eye contact that well. And the doctor was like, yeah, it's part of autism. And she was like, no, I'm pretty sure he's okay with eye contact. But then obviously when they went to the assessment, she realized when they were pointing it out, this isn't the case. He suffered with intermittent eye contact. And she was like, gosh, I didn't realize that, because she also suffers with this intermittent eye contact, which is super interesting. Again, this is something that autistic individuals will do and display, not really realize that this is a trait of autism, because typically people will make consistently good eye contact, and it's like social polite etiquette, typically. Okay, so number 2 is object attachment. And what this kind of means is that you have some type of attachment or kind of like an emotional connection to objects. I'm not saying like, you know, having a stuffy from when you were a kid is highlighting this issue. It's more kind of intricate than that. It's when autistic individuals may find something in their life that they're really attached to, and they'll kind of almost protect it in a way to keep that normality. And for example, for me would be like, I've got a beard brush that I brush my beard with because I have a beard, right? And I had this in a set with another beard comb and some oil and stuff like that, but I really like the brush, and so I don't want this brush to go missing. And it's funny because my partner has a tendency to just leave things in certain places because she has ADHD also, and she just leaves them somewhere and we lose them, or they get temporarily lost, right? Or misplaced, should I say. And so because of that, I'll be like really like watching like a hawk if she does anything with my brush. I'm like wanting to just make sure that it's put away in the correct place and that she doesn't move it, you know, that kind of thing. It can sometimes not just be like an object like a brush. It could also be items of clothing, or for instance, my shoes. I love, my shoes, and I almost have a personality for those things. And having those personalities in those shoes and those objects, kind of like if they were damaged in some way or they're getting old, you kind of like hang on to them a lot longer than you should, because you kind of think, it's okay, it'll keep going. Because it's almost like they're part of the family. Like, you know, when an animal dies, like a dog dies or something, it's like losing a part of the family. And that's what it feels like when you have to throw out that old pair of shoes. And so typically people who are not autistic don't have this. They don't worry about, I have to get rid of this pair of shoes and buy another pair. And now this pair, old curly is going to go in the bin. It's nothing like that. They literally just go, okay, well, some pair of shoes is broken. I want a new pair. Like they'll want to go out and buy new things and not hold on to those ones. They don't have emotional attachment to inanimate objects or just things that we own, which is really interesting. And I guess that's why maybe a lot of autistic individuals become what people would think is hoarders, because they're holding on to those things because they hold value to them. Almost like the KonMari method from Maria Kondo, where something sparks joy, we want to keep it around you, right? And that kind of makes sense. Oh, also, guys, my name is Dan, by the way, and I have autism and ADHD. So if you're new around here and you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing to this channel by hitting the notification button down below this video or following on Facebook, because I do videos like this every single week. And I'd love to have you come along on that journey with me. Okay, so number 3 is buying the same thing over and over again, or buying several of the same things all at once. Now, I'm a sucker for this. Like, I own just one type of shoe, and it may be in a bit varied colors, but it's the same shoe, right? And I have all those just at my disposal because they're the shoes I want to wear, and I'll pre-buy them so that I know that when one set unfortunately has to go in the bin, much to my demise, I actually have a next set to go. And I did this with different types of shoes, big one for me, but also like when I find a color like t-shirt or the type of t-shirt that I like, I just buy multiples of them. So like I have like many just black shirts, right? In my entire closet is literally just black shirts. Sometimes I have a motif, sometimes in my own merch like this one. And by the way, guys, you can buy this on my website, theaspieworld.com. But it's not just because it's something that I enjoy, the color black. It also lowers the amount of decisions I have to make in a day, because we have in autism versus what like typical people don't really deal with this, is that it's a noise to signal ratio. Now, noise is the things that distract us in our day, and the signal is the things we want to get on with and do. And so I find that choosing an outfit in the morning and getting things ready, you know, oh, which clothes am I going to wear? That's just noise for me. And I just need to get on my work and get through the day. So I lower that noise by just literally saying, well, if I like one shirt, then I'll just buy the whole thing and I'll have clean ones every single day of my life. Very common. Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, classic people with autism spectrum disorder level 1 or aspergers display this specific trait. And I guess so do I. Elon Musk as well displays this trait and talks about this noise to signal ratio. Now, typical people don't. On the contrary to that, neurotypical people or not autistic individuals will get up in the morning and they'll want to just like, ooh, what outfit am I going to wear today? And what can I look cute in? Or what's going to look well? And do I have this shirt? I have no idea. I don't care about that stuff. I just want to get up, make sure it look okay, and get out the door. But I know that if I find one style that works, boom, I can get going on that. And also a little tip actually is, if you like a certain style but want to lower the noise and increase signal, just go to Pinterest and type in, like, you know, for me it was like hipster dudes, leather jacket, punk rockers, and I googled that, like tattooed hipster dudes, and I said capsule wardrobe, and this basically means that you get like 4 or 5 items in your wardrobe that if you arrange them in any order, they look really cool, but they're a variant amount of outfits. Exactly the same principle. It's a high signal, low noise issue. Now, I have a book that you can download for free all about autism life hacks. Literally, it's completely free. You just go to www.autismhacks.net and you can download the PDF hacks book just for you. But more importantly, on there is when you do go to the loading page to download the actual document, there's a little tool that you can use where you can input your own information and it will make a personal life hack suggestion for you. It's cool. The tool's built by yours truly, and it's a gift from me to you, just completely free. Go there, check it out. Okay, so number 4 is zoning in. Now, what's really interesting about this trait is that autistic individuals will zone into certain things, objects, patterns, disruption in the floor when they're walking, something that is catching your eye and making you lose concentration, but then hyper-focus on it, right? Now, many people will see this, and as did I for a while, as zoning out. So people will believe that you are zoning out of the real world or reality and zoning into your own world, right? And you often hear this idea of zoning into your own world or being in your own world, which is where the word autism comes from. It's a Greek word, autos, for being by oneself or in oneself's environment of oneself's reality. And so people will often look at you and think they're zoning out of reality, but in actual fact, you're zoning into something, because autistic individuals will see the hyper detail in something and really get to take this on board. Like the other day, I found myself and my fiance, she was making us a pizza and she'd put it into the oven, and then we both were just kind of mesmerized by the cheese bubbling and crisping in the oven. We were both stood there looking at it the whole time, and then our niece walked in and she was like, oh my gosh, you guys are so weird. And of course, our niece is not autistic, and me and my partner are. So it was kind of like, whoa, like it was so interesting that to us that was normal, right? Zoning into stuff because we found it very interesting. But niece was like, well, no, that's weird. Like people don't do that, which is really weird. Now I want to know, do you have this experience? Do you have a time when people like say, hey, you do this and this isn't normal, right? Normal isn't like average everybody does. Now, if this is you got to leave me a comment down below. Let me know if I've called you out on something, because this is really interesting. And I want to know if you guys, my tribe, you awesome dudes and gals out there, are here with me. Okay, so the last one is a physical response to audio stimuli. And let me break it down really simply. It's feeling physical pain if you hear a word or a sound. Now, this is so interesting because I thought everybody felt like this. Because I used to be like, when I hear a certain noise, or a certain sound, I'd be like, oh man, it makes me like, ugh. And it physically gives me pain in my body. It's hard to describe that pain, but it's somewhere in my chest/back. And I thought everybody experienced this at different levels. Like, when people hear a cannon going off, or they hear like a loud airplane or something flying overhead, they always kind of like shriek. Now, when they do that, it's because the sound is making them feel uncomfortable, not pain. However, autistic individuals like myself, when I hear a certain word or certain words or some specific words, it hurts. It hurts me. It's like a pain, right? I get the same with certain smells as well, but I mean, that's for another video. If you're interested, let me know if you want to see a video on kind of sensory specifics. But in terms of the noises or words, those things hurt me, and people don't even realize it. And so they're going around and they're saying these words or making these sounds, and I'm like dying internally. I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm in so much pain, because there is a disconnection in how the neurological pathways have been mended in my brain versus a typical person who isn't autistic's brain, right? Their response to certain words and noises is typical and just doesn't cause pain. But this is something very common of autistic individuals, and I see this a lot. Even my partner, she has certain words and sounds that like bring her pain, right? She can't deal with it. Like when people blow raspberries or something, like she has to like tap her head and it really hurts her. And it's fascinating because I thought for ages that people did this. It was like, oh yeah, it's a normal thing. I just have issues with noise and sounds and everybody else does. But then the more you kind of talk to people about it and ask them like, what are the noises that causes them pain? They don't have it. How crazy is that? I absolutely think it's probably the smoking gun in autism, because if you're caused pain by words and sounds, this is a direct indication that your neurological pathways are not neurotypical. It means you're neurodivergent, which means you're on the autism spectrum in some capacity.